Yes.
Coming out as we're waiting to pop on screen. I'm like, here we go.
Duo right here. I love it. Fist
Boom,
pounds.
boom. What you did not see, Joe, and anyone that's in the audience, was me frantically like throwing papers off my desk because I can never remember how zoomed in we are. And I'm like,
You are
wow,
very zoomed in.
there's a lot of things happening in Krista's world.
I love it. I'm also very pumped about the fall weather because I can bust out my Limitless Mind sweatshirt that I wear at least 4 times a week.
Yes, 100%. It's in the air. We are watching the leaves fall like crazy right now, but it is a glorious time in Minnesota. Like, this is so pretty right now. So I'm embracing all things. It's awesome.
Living your best life.
Living my best life every single day.
You and I got to meet for the first time last week. It was such a pleasure. Tell our audience, whoever's here, about our event at McDonald's.
It was so fun. First of all, some of you that are watching live or maybe watching after the fact, you don't realize, like, the Limitless team, we don't get to see each other in the flesh. You know, like I'm meeting you virtually, and that was the first time getting in front of Miss Jolo in the flesh, and it was amazing, as you can only imagine it would be. It was so much fun.
It was so
Talk
fun.
about power of we, man. Bringing the energy, bringing the heat, and just getting stronger together. That's really the thread of Limitless Minds.
Yes. I wish I could have sat in on your session, and I'm sure vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's a blessing that we can be together, but we're presenting at the same time in different rooms.
Yeah.
So we're not able to experience one another's magic, but I know there'll be a day where we can drop in on each other's sessions and really pull some amazing nuggets from each other, because it sounded like your session was incredible and people were laughing and dancing and singing. So,
and I find it so fun that we really don't know, like, we all have such different and unique crafts that we don't really know what's happening behind the curtain, right? I don't know what's going on in your room, but then as we're like hashing things out afterwards, the similarities of, like, yeah, you had people on their feet and they were like rapping and dancing, and I'm like, oh, bring the heat. I just think it's amazing. So if I see you in the chat, hey friend, could not have been a success without you.
No. And then we get the pleasure of talking today about clarity, which is really one of the key values to high performance. And we're going to talk roadblocks, which occur so frequently now in our world.
Roadblocks.
Yes, lots of roadblocks. And you and I talked kind of off camera about this idea of the paradox of choice.
Yes.
And do you want to describe it? Because it's a very apt concept for our day and age.
Yeah, I think paradox of choice for me, well, for one, I like the word paradox. And for two, it reminds me of the word paralyze, because that is what happens to Krista. When I am given a million choices, I almost become like a deer in the headlights, right? So I almost just kind of stop and stare and am in numb. And it's because we are riddled with so many options. Like on the daily, legit, you wake up and you've got a million options in regards to, like, what tune do I want to listen to right now? Do I want to listen to the radio, the 15 station on my dashboard, or do I want to plug in my Spotify or my own music list? Like, we are riddled on the daily with millions of choices, and it can be mentally exhausting and create this huge roadblock, right?
Yes.
It's something that's very, very interesting to me when we start to really highlight how many choices we have.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about, like, going to Starbucks and making an order. You're like, tall, 1 pump, 7 pumps, decaf, no caf, latte, skinny, and there's like literally 18 words in an order for a Starbucks coffee, and it's only 7 a.m. right?
Yes.
So
stinking TikTok. You know what I do, Joe? This is legit. I've got 2 teenage daughters. When they want to order Starbucks, I lean back and I say it nice and loud, because they have to yell over me because they have 12 to 15 ingredients in their drink, and they're all based on some craze on TikTok that's telling them, here, I'm going to make the choice for you. Here's what it is. It's like, it's insane.
Does it include pumpkin spice latte, Krista? That's what I have to know.
It includes the pumpkin cold foam at the top of their pumpkin chai with oat milk, venti, like small ice, little ice. They even have, like, the amount of ice they want in there. It's just insane. It's crazy.
I'm still stuck on, like, the sizes. I'm like, what's a tall? I don't understand. What's a grande?
Give me medium, whatever that is.
I still say that. Oh my God. That's how old I am. I'm like, can I get a small?
Now, venti, what is that? Oh, we're riddled. We're riddled with choices. So here's a question. How does this affect us, Joe, when we are given so many options on the daily?
Right.
How does this become, into our theme for today's conversation, how does this become a thought roadblock for us as individuals and to be those high achieving individuals that we're working on with the mental strengthening? How does this become a roadblock?
Yeah, it's awesome tie back to the roadblock. And, with people of privilege, which we're, white women in the United States of America, we have a gazillion choices and many options for what we can do, what we can buy. And besides the fact that it paralyzes us, and this just isn't anecdotal evidence, this is scientific and data proven that the more options that we have, the less likely we are to act on them.
Yeah.
And you and I watched a TED Talk by Barry Schwartz, who wrote a book on this topic, The Paradox of Choice. And he talked about a company that offered retirement funds for their employees. They offered 50 funds in one side of the experiment, and they offered 5 in the other. And the group that were offered 50 acted on it a lot less. So not only does it paralyze you because you're like, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
There never is a tomorrow. And so not only are they not acting on it, but 2, they are able to capitalize on the funds that their employer would have matched. So they're talking about thousands of dollars a year that they're missing out on because they're paralyzed to make a choice.
Wow.
So the more options we have to buy, the less likely we are to buy.
Yeah.
And then there's the idea of elevated expectations. The more options we have, the more we believe that there's a demand for perfection.
Yes.
You and I both know there's no such thing as perfection. And so no matter what option we take, we walk away dissatisfied because there's always something wrong with it. And we always think there's something better with the other option that we did not make.
Oh my gosh, you're giving me chills right now because as you're talking, where my mind immediately went when you said, let's just highlight the fact that we are privileged. Can you imagine what we have for choices? Some individuals on this earth would pray for. I mean, they are praying for, right?
Yeah.
So here's my question and concern. Is this leading to dissatisfaction? Because we have so many options and all of a sudden we're like, I don't know, this one. Oh, I should have chose that one. Oh shoot, I should have chose this one.
Yeah.
Years ago, I saw a documentary, Joe, and it was about the happiness levels of this orphanage in like Africa. They were brought a simple tennis ball as a gift. And these children were so happy. They did like scientific studies on how all of their body reacted, how it was like they were so happy because they were just gifted one option, just one thing.
Right.
And immediately they went to gratitude, right? I am so grateful for this one thing and I'm going to live in this gratitude. So I feel like you and I and some of the listeners here, our challenge is because we are so blessed, and I'm going to use that word, we are so privileged and blessed. We also have to be aware. We have to do our due diligence to fight and to be aware of how do we support ourselves with this gift of privilege and understanding how it can quickly negatively affect us. That does a disservice to us, and it's not fair to those that don't have that privilege.
Some options are better than none, but more options aren't better than some, right? So it's this idea that less is more. And I would love for Mari to throw up either one of the 2 cartoons, because they both apply, that that Barry showed in his presentation on the TEDx, is just these like really comical ways. So it says everything was better back when everything was worse.
Yeah.
And so meaning everything was better back when we didn't have, 75 options for what pair of jeans to buy. Everything was better when we didn't have 1,000 options for what phone to buy. And so it's true, because then we're constantly judging our decision on what we didn't do, right? Like it's the ruining of the decision that we made. And what's interesting is that previously, when there was only one option, we can blame the system. Right? Oh, it's their fault because there's only one option and I'm pissed off about it. Now we blame ourselves because we are the ones who are responsible for making that decision. So now it becomes a personal slight versus a system slight, which is it's a big lens change, isn't it?
It's a very, very significant lens change, and it's impactful. Our body keeps count. And when we start to blame ourselves, when we start to like internally self-sabotage, that affects everything. That affects absolutely everything. So let's highlight some examples of this. I would love to hear your lens. Where do you see these choice, you know, in the TEDx? And maybe we should throw that up if we don't do it live, because I don't have it in front of me. I'll do that in the chat, you know, later. But because it's a great TEDx. It really, really is. But he uses the example of salad dressing. Go to your local supermarket. He counted 175 plus versions of salad dressing, and that does not include the oils that you could use to make your own, right? So we have 175 versions of a salad dressing. So that's just one example of you choose one when you're riddled with options, and then you automatically go home and put it on there, and you're already grading and judging. You're already like, there had to have been one that would have been better.
Should have got the ranch. I should have bought the ranch.
Always go with ranch, the traditional ranch. I mean, it was better when there was only one ranch, right?
Seriously.
Why mess with that? So, but that's the mental mind game that we play. Like immediately, I do it when I'm trying to figure out where to go out to eat. Like, I don't know what, you know, like here's a choice, or ordering off the menu. Here's my choices. I don't know. What would you choose if you were me? I find myself asking our server that often. Like, I can't decide between X and Y. So what would you choose if you were me? And you know what the feedback could be? I am not you. So I can't possibly make that choice.
Don't dump that responsibility on me. Okay.
My tip is dependent on your happiness.
That's hysterical.
So where do you see it, Joe?
I see it. So since I do so much work with youth athletes, and as a parent, you are a parent of an athlete, of soon to be a college bound young man. And I see it show up a lot in sports, because when I played youth soccer in the state of Maryland, there was essentially one team I could have played for. So there were not many options, and I committed. I fell in love with that team. We had an amazing chemistry, and granted, like everyone's experience is different. And now you have 12, 13, 14, 15 different teams you can play for in this area. And we will acknowledge what we talked about earlier, is that with privilege comes more options. And women's sports, female athletes have become more privileged through time because of all the work of their predecessors. So previously we didn't even have Title IX, so women couldn't play sports. Then you had one girls team, so you played on that team, and now you have 100 girls teams in any given city. So I see a lot of discontent, not just from the players, but also from the parents. They get incredibly frustrated. They're dissatisfied with whatever team that they're playing for, and it doesn't allow their child to actually experience it in the present, because they're so worried about the future of where should I go, and they're worried about the past of like, oh, I didn't make the right decision. We talked about this word right for my child of moving from one team to the other. So there is so much turmoil, Krista, and so much anxiety and stress and pressure. And they're 10 years old. Like they're 10 years old. Who cares? You know what I'm saying?
That hurts my heart. It really, really does. Because let's do simple better. Let's live life. Let's be happy in the now, right? But it's so much easier saying that than actively living through it. I see this all the time, Joe, on my one-on-one conversations with employees of organizations worldwide. Like literally, they will be navigating a job change or looking at options, right? So if they get, let's play with this. If they get one or two opportunities in front of them, immediately they're trying to figure out, is the grass greener on the other side? You know, and you hear this all the time. It's green where you water it. You stay present and focused on the grass, the lawn that you're standing on, and you take care of that. It will be green. It will, period. Period. But there's always that mental roadblock of, would I be better off somewhere else? And shoot, did I make the wrong decision? You know, I'm really happy with this new opportunity in front of me. Should I keep applying? Should I keep checking to see if maybe there's something even better out there? And then there's always the question of, oh man, am I happy here? Was this the right move? Did I make the right decision? Instead of, how can I be the happiest in this moment? How can I make the impact I want to make? It's a challenge because we are riddled with options.
I'm snapping. I'm getting like so fired up with you because this is like such an incredible conversation. And I want to ask you a question. This can be a whole nother live, but do you think part of this is that we are so externally driven that we won't take the time to look internally, because the most important work is inside out, right?
Yes.
So we don't want to sit in that discomfort, because watering your grass isn't easy. It's hard. It takes work.
Yeah.
We don't want to sit in that internal work to find internal contentment. So we're always chasing the next best thing. Do you think that's part of it?
100%, 100%. And the place I always go first is when someone's feeling that lack, that disconnection, and they're seeking elsewhere. I always say, tell me your top 2 core values of who you are. Like what actually fills you up. So Joe, if I was talking to you, I'd say, Joe, tell me when you feel the most fulfillment, when your heart is actually like a warm, weighted blanket, and you feel fulfilled and just content. What does that look like? Those are your core values speaking. Yes. And I'll say, now you start to navigate your life. That is your GPS system. Now, instead of looking for external validation of maybe I'd make more income somewhere else, or maybe others would respect me in a higher role if I was on like a C-suite or executive level, maybe if I worked 80 hours a week instead of 40 or 30, maybe, okay, well, now we're sabotaging our core values based on other forces, right? So it's noise. It's noise that gets in the way of who are we? How can we show up in the world the most authentic and supporting our values? Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know. Challenge me. I would love it. I don't know that there's anything more important than understanding our values.
That resonates a lot, because whenever a parent comes to me and they're like, should I choose team A or team B for my child, for my daughter? I say to them, well, why are you playing soccer? Like, what are your core values? What are the core values you want to get from this experience? Yeah. And that will guide you on what decision you should make. What team is going to develop your child? What team cares about them as a person, not just a performer? What team really teaches future leaders, right? So it's like taking that step back and seeing that wider lens that you and I are talking about, which actually guides the path, the one foot in front of the other path.
And it can be hard, Joe, let me be honest, because the whole world is telling us that we're supposed to be a version of us for their benefit. Yeah. That's the world chirping in our ear always. Let me tell you a super quick story. Please. There was a high executive. She came to me because she was navigating 2 job options. She had gotten let go from her organization. And so she had 2 huge, monumental opportunities in front of her, and she wanted to verbalize the choices. So I asked her about her values. And when she described her values and then she explained the 2 opportunities in front of her, she immediately said, neither of these are right for me. and I said, tell me about that. And she goes, I just told you how important family is. It makes me choke up. She said, I just told you how important family is, and nature. Yeah. It's like these 2 opportunities in front of me, I would be traveling the world away from my son. And I would be working, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. And my fulfillment is when I'm riding my horses with my son. So she, like a month later, came back to me and was like, I am now working 30 hours a week, and I'm doing it at this position. Aww. And I am so inspired, and I'm knocking it out of the park. Like, she was just like, whoo, like once she had understood her values, she's like, this is one life. We got one life to live. I got to live authentically through what fulfills me, not for the world, for myself, therefore for others.
That is so beautiful. And it actually nails something. I was listening to Dr. Michael Gervais, the high performance psychologist, Finding Mastery. I was telling you about his podcast, and they were talking about the new definition of wealth. And how, so the old definition of wealth is the house on the hill. It's the fancy car. It's the yacht. The new definition of wealth is like vitality, is like a vibrance. It's a sparkle behind your eyes, and like something that wakes you up in the morning. And so very often we're chasing the wrong version of wealth. Yeah. And again, that is very external facing instead of internal facing, where it's like, am I content? Like, do I feel comfortable in my skin? Do I love myself? Right? That is wealth.
Oh my gosh, you're just lighting things up today. Yes. Like at the end of our journey, at the end of our chapter of this book of life, right? How beautiful could we be in reflection back of being like, I lived in abundant gratitude. I lived aligned with who I am. I felt fulfilled for the majority of my life. Instead of like, I had a kick-ass car and a really nice home.
Seriously.
No. Like it's all about fulfillment and gratitude. And so how? Let's talk about the how. So these thought roadblocks and the paradox of choice, and we're riddled. What do we do, Joe?
Yeah. And we wanted to open this up to the audience a bit too. So you and I came up with 4 steps to get past the paradox of choice.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm already thinking in my brain, the first one is simplify.
Yeah.
And simplify down to the choices that I think match your values. Is that kind of what we're coming away with after our conversation?
I think so.
Yeah.
Simplify. This life is about you. Guess what, everyone? You get to be selfish in your life, because if you can reflect on who you are and the impact that you can make for yourself and others, it's not selfish. It's love. It's so important. So simplify, and that means know who you are. Know
who you are and trust the very few voices that are around you, right? Like we don't have to listen to everyone else's opinions. If you trust who you are, you trust people around you, you'll come to that simple answer, I think, quicker than we think.
Yeah.
And like listen to that gut.
100%. You just went into the second step, magnify.
Yeah.
That means dial it in and focus on the what is important, and get rid of the noise. And some of that noise might be other people's idea of who you're supposed to be. Guess what? They don't get to choose that.
No.
That's why any server that you ask, I see Cynthia in the chat said, I do the same thing with the servers.
Yes.
Friend, we can't ask them what we should eat because they are not us. I would be like, Joe, what kind of core value should I live through? Just tell me that.
Yeah. And I want to give a shout out to Brandy O'Reilly, who's McDonald's GM up in the house watching this. She was so inspired by our presentations in Vegas that she is dropping in for a live with us. So
thank you for being here,
Brandy. It's very special to have you. So, okay, so we have simplify the options, magnify on the most important one that really matches your core values. And then we have commit, right? That's a big piece of it. Commit. Just do it.
Just do it. The Nike thing, just do it. Like, stop getting in your muddy mind, right?
Yeah.
Stop getting stuck in your thought process about, well, should I do it? If you decide it's the right thing, do it, and love yourself enough to act on that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how many I should have, could have, would have? Why didn't I? Let's do it. And
do you think about that? So the commitment piece, like, so we said simplify, magnify, and we still have one more. Do you think the commitment piece is the scariest? Because so that's that's a big one. Let's circle that. Like, it's gonna be freaking scary, everyone. Okay, it's gonna be scary. The best parts of life are on the other side of fear. So get over it.
The word courage. Commit with courage.
Yes.
It's not going to feel soft and wooey and like, oh, this is the perfect set for me.
Yeah,
this is exactly what I should do. Now that's false.
Yeah.
Just commit with courage.
Yes. Oh, that's such a good addition. Commit with courage. Yeah. And then the fourth piece, we really wanted to open it up to the audience. Maybe Brandy, Cynthia, you guys can tell us. So we wanted something around like let go. At that point, once you simplify, magnify, commit with courage, you have to then let go. You have to believe in yourself and your choice and just live, right? Step into it. So what resonates for you, Krista? I think we went through
I think the biggest word for me is surrender. And that's not, and please, everyone listening, when I use that word, I am not using that word as I'm waving the white flag and giving up. It means I am surrendering to all of the noise in my mind telling me that the outcome could be wrong, because that is you going negative, and that is what your mindset will do. But it's surrendering to the outcome and understanding that this is you living life. Surrender to the outcome and just have fun living your life through it, right? So mine is almost like let go or surrender. Let go so that you can go.
Oh, that's so good. Let go so you can go. And I love like let go and live, right? That's just the moment to just live and celebrate every aspect of that decision. And we talked about there is no right or wrong.
No,
it's your response that matters. You may make a decision and say, you know what, this isn't the right fit for me. That can be strength. And then you adjust again. That's the power of your response. And it doesn't mean you made the wrong decision. It means that you lived and you learned, and now you're actually stronger, bigger, and better for it.
Yeah, 100%. And remind yourself in those moments. Like, let's take it from a restaurant example to like a career change. you're in a restaurant and I order like a meatball sandwich and I'm like eating it and I'm like, you know what? Shoot, I should have gone with the salad because that actually sounds like it would have been a better fit.
Yeah.
Does it benefit me to beat myself up all day and be like, I screwed up my lunch, I destroyed this day? No, I would never have known I didn't want the meatball sub if I hadn't gotten it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
That's true.
Yeah, learn. And like to a career change, if you find yourself thinking like, you know what, now that I'm here, I'm not sure that this is the place for me because maybe it doesn't match my core values. Maybe I'm not feeling fulfillment. Congratulations, you're alive.
Yes.
You did nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong. And you would never have known where you don't belong if you didn't try it, because you're still that just means you're on the right path to finding where you do belong, right? And I think that's part of the journey for all of us, Joe.
You know, it strikes me that, you know, Cynthia says she likes, I let go and live. And then I almost want to add like with compassion, right? Like live with compassion for yourself and for others, knowing that nothing is ever perfect. You're not perfect. You can always adjust. You're never stuck. And so let's challenge. Do you have a scenario right now, a paradox of choice scenario, where you could apply the 4 steps: simplify, magnify, commit, let go and live, or surrender? Do you have something that's coming up in your world right now?
Oh God, I bet I have 554 of them. Here, there's a paradox of choice happening in my brain right now. Which one do I do?
That's amazing.
Yeah. You know, honestly, I've got an opportunity tomorrow and I've been weighing back and forth if I want to take this opportunity or not, because it's also my son who's 17 and graduating. It's his last cross country sectionals meet. So there, even verbalizing it out loud. Yeah. There's 2 choices. My choice is I'm going to his meet. You know, that's going to happen because that aligns with my core value of joy, connection. He's out of the house pretty soon. So I got to embrace these moments. And I'm just going to act and do it, you know, like no more thinking about it. Cause there's a sense of me that's like, oh, but I should support this organization. I should show up for them and support them. And my son would want me to, and I'm playing all these mind games. And to me, for my fulfillment and to stay aligned to my core values, I'm going to go to his cross country meet.
Oh, I love it.
There. How about you, Joe? Walk me through one of yours.
I think so. There's a National Speakers Association event next March. And it requires travel. It requires a couple nights away from my family. And I am traveling a lot now. So the paradox of choice is like, should I go to this event versus some other thing that could come up? And I don't know when I'm going to pull the trigger on the decision. You know, like, I don't think there's a wrong decision that I can make. It's just really committing and being like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get the most out of it. I'm going to miss Luna and Melody. I'm going to have extra travel that I didn't expect to have. So I think these 4 steps will really help me. I don't know if I'm ready yet to make that decision because I still want to. I
love this because there's not an urgency effect. Yeah. And I love that you just highlighted this piece of it because this is big, right? So sometimes we feel like we have to decide this today. And if there's big decisions to be made, Joe, love yourself enough to allow some space. Because it will happen. Like you will make the decision where you feel like the time is now. Yes. And then these 4 steps will be easier to navigate. Yeah. 100%.
I needed this today. You're just like a ray of sunshine, Krista. It's been so
you are always just a ray. I always say, Joe's my fire. She just brings heat, and I just feel so inspired every time I'm with you. You are just absolutely amazing.
I feel like we could have talked for 2 hours. So let's sign up for another live that we can continue this conversation. 100%. I know the audience loved it. I love you. Thank you for sharing this space with me.
Yes.
And can't wait to see you again soon.
Awesome. Go get after it, everybody.
No more roadblocks. Here we go.
No more roadblocks.